Hi everyone, this is Bao, and welcome to the Power of BAO, a channel where I share my stories of how I ended suffering and created lasting, unconditional happiness. Warning, the story I'm about to share is about suicide and may trigger some people. Viewer discretion is advised. This is my last story about my suicidal tendencies, as I have so much more to uncover. I know, it's very dark, so bear with me if you can. After 10 years of not having any thoughts of suicide, on January 31st, 2015, I tried to end my life. How did I end up in such a dark place? Here are some of the events that had led up to my episode. I was married at the time. Let's call him John. We owned and operated a branding and design company, so we mostly worked from home. It started out like any other regular Monday. He would cook us breakfast, while I walked the dog, made the bed, set the table. It was all very routine. While serving breakfast, he also dispensed our daily vitamins and supplements. I started feeling very sick. Nausea, heart palpitations, anxiety. I never felt like this before, and I was out of it for the entire day, a complete write-off. By Wednesday, it felt like my soul was slipping away from my body. Am I heading into a deep depression? Am I losing my mind? What's going on here? Could it be this new medication that I'm on? This medication, the same one that he has been on, where he encouraged my doctor to prescribe to me, which my doctor did reluctantly after John coached me on what to say. I started taking it roughly for 3 months, and about a quarter of the dose that he was prescribed for himself. He convinced me it was good for me and would say, "Look how well it's working. You're so much happier, nicer, more focused and creative." As it turns out, John accidentally gave me his meds along with my supplements. Not just once on Monday, possibly on Tuesday, and by Wednesday he admitted that he may have given me his medication. That's 4 times my dose. Again, by accident. For Lord knows how long has this been going on. As I later found out through doing my own research, I was taking a medication I clearly didn't need, nor did it agree with my physiology, and giving me all sorts of side effects. One of them was having suicidal thoughts. Sometime later, for whatever reason, likely paranoia, John hacked into my computer, accuses me of all these things that I'm doing to ruin the relationship, and we get into this big fight, and then it started to become physical. Punching me, pinning me down with his 260-pound frame and choking me, yelling, "I hate you, I wish you were dead, why don't you go kill yourself?" I mean, who says that to someone who has struggled with suicidal thoughts for most of their life? In order to have him stop, I started hitting back, and when that didn't work, I gave up. I started hitting myself, giving myself a black eye and other bruises on my face. The sight of me actually harming myself really frightened him, and so he stopped and tried to console me and calm me down. He calls the police and I'm admitted to the hospital. I was advised by the resident psychiatrist to stay elsewhere for now, that this relationship is toxic and we should take some time apart. He sent me home the next morning with some meds, and a close friend of mine picked me up and I stayed at her house. The meds were monitored and I was instructed not to leave for any reason, which I disobeyed. That moment right before you pass out or faint, where everything starts to go black, that doesn't typically last for 2 hours. From what I remember, in those 2 hours, between noon and 2 p.m., I found my meds and popped them in my mouth and snuck out of my friend's house. I walked to the liquor store and bought a bottle of JD. Then I walked to McDonald's and bought my favorite childhood meal, thinking that it would be my last. This place was busy, but I didn't care. And I mixed my drink, right there at the soda fountain. Sitting there, eating my chicken sandwich and drinking my, at this point, more Jack than Diet Coke. I'm hoping that the anti-anxiety pills start working. Stumbling down the road, I head towards the train tracks and call 2 people to say my forever goodbyes. And then waited, shivering in the sub-zero temperatures. There were multiple police search units looking for me, but that process wouldn't have even started if it weren't for one of the last people that I called, Ray in New York City, who had immediately called John and the police were contacted. With the cops at my house, John called a friend who is a psychic, and she just happened to be at a convention with hundreds of other mystics in the room. She rallied up a small group, and they guided the eager and open-minded officers. I can't tell you exactly where he is, she said, but he's in a ditch somewhere. He's cold, scared, and lost. Get the canine unit. It's the only way you'll ever find him. Within 20 minutes, led by dogs, I heard my name called out. So I hid in the trunk of this rusted, burnt, windowless station wagon by the train tracks in the ditch. The officer finds me and pulls me out, cuffs me, shoves me in the back seat of the patrol car. At this point, I'm screaming and crying as I'm rushed to the hospital. Drunk and high, the combination allowed me to sleep throughout the night. I wake up completely disoriented, with the bright fluorescent lights shining in my eyes. I'm thinking this place is foreign, yet familiar. Oh, I'm at the hospital. Restrained and tied down, alone and scared. As I slowly start to remember the series of events, I feel broken, heartbroken, and even more hopeless. Why can't I just go? I said to myself as I cried back to sleep. After I'm released, I moved into my parents' house, and my therapy begins. The therapist says I need 3 key ingredients to make a successful recovery and maintain a healthy state of mind. They were proper medication, ongoing therapy, and a consistent meditation practice. The combination of these things, along with removing myself from this toxic environment, allowed me to start my journey towards who I am today. Meditation has been my saving grace. With consistent practice, I was able to wean off my meds and therapy. I started with 20 minutes a day, and it was so difficult at first since my mind was racing through thoughts about my past, what had happened, my future. But this laid the blueprint for a strong foundation of being present and in the moment. I now meditate for at least an hour every day, sometimes 2 hours. I actually love it. It literally gives me life. If you want to learn more about meditation and how to start a practice that can change your views about yourself, your past, and your life, I have videos right here on my channel about all the different techniques. If you're a newbie, I do suggest you start with phase 1, the control, no control technique, a meditation for beginners. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and like this video, share it with others. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below to get notified when I share more of my stories and other techniques to break through all obstacles. Bye for now.